both languages. Yeah. Thank you, Minister. On a different topic, actually, your government has said it's reviewing the timeline of events in the terror case in Toronto. Wondering what that has uncovered.
So, look, I'd like to give you a better answer, frankly, today, and I don't have one better than the one I'm about to give you. The reality is I want to know exactly what happened, when, and how. That is something I have ordered my Deputy Minister to undertake with my department, to look at the timeline at which the individual in question got their permanent residency and citizenship, who knew what, when, and how. I hope to be able to provide answers in a relatively short timeline about what happened. I'm as disgusted as any Canadian, but I have a responsibility to get to the bottom of it, and I will. The information that I can share in the context of criminal proceedings may be limited, but I want to make sure first and foremost that Canadians are safe and that we do not compromise an ongoing court case. But again, I think Canadians deserve answers. I'm going to get to the bottom of it. I'm also going to take the next step, which is to start the preliminary work with the evidence at hand to look at whether the individual in question's citizenship should be revoked. Yeah, sorry. Look, I think I object to the characterization. I think to some extent it's quite offensive to treat people that have employees that are temporary foreign workers as slave owners. I have met a number of them. I've been to farms. The Rapporteur General, the Rapporteur in this first meeting, my understanding, actually never went to a farm. It's something that I don't want to deny the underlying facts. There are abuses. I think the characterization is inflammatory. At the same time, I have a job to make sure that these abuses stop. As I said in my concluding remarks in French, any person in Canada, regardless of who they employ, need to treat people with dignity and respect according to law, and that isn't happening in some sectors that employ temporary foreign workers. That needs to end. I initiated earlier this year the open work program for people that were suffering abuses at the hands of their employers. It's not the be-all and end-all. There are a number of reforms that need to be put into place. It's work that I'm doing with my colleague, Minister Randy Boissonneau, who has responsibility for that program, to make sure that that low-wage stream doesn't have abuses associated to it, and those abuses need to end to the extent they are occurring. That is an area that has doubled or tripled in terms of numbers in the last few years, for a number of reasons. But we are in a food inflationary scenario, and we don't, in implementing our reforms, make sure that we are not affecting food prices, because that's something Canadians don't want to see. At the same time, they don't want to see people being treated improperly in Canada. It's a first world country, and that, in some cases, is occurring and needs to end.
The Department of Homeland Security is going to change how it processes migrants through the Safe Third Country Agreement, including reducing the time migrants have to contact a lawyer from 24 to 4 hours. Wondering what your reaction is to this, and if this is something that Canada is also considering.
Yeah, look, it's a really good question. I think Canadians, and you've heard it from Americans as well, expect an immigration system that makes sense. I'm not going to comment on another, it's our closest ally. I speak to Secretary Mayorkas relatively often. This is their prerogative to make the immigration system faster. They're facing different challenges than we face. We do not have, our southern border is not the same as their southern border, but our borders are of concern, and they need to be well administered. We have the best administered border in the world between Canada and the US, but it's something that is constant need of vigilance and sometimes needs some reform. We proposed some reforms as part of the last budget, but they were rejected by Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives, even though those reforms look like ones proposed by his prior government and by the Bloc Québécois and by the NDP. So we're doing stuff, but we're in a minority and we're being blocked. Is there more to do? Absolutely, and it's something that I'm going to be announcing in the next few months as to how we make the asylum system more effective and efficient, particularly as we deal with the historic volumes that we've seen the last 2 years. Our systems will never mirror those of the United States for legal reasons, but also for political reasons. We do have to make sure that we have a northern perimeter that is safe and secure. And so I'm not going to comment directly on the individual measures, but any reforms to the asylum system that follow the rule of law are ones that are important. And given the volume that we face at the Immigration Refugee Board, I also want to see things accelerating as well. So hopefully some measures to announce in the next little while. And we really, truly hope that the other parties in Parliament don't oppose that.